the allegations that were brought to her, did she at any time see the email that has been discussed in the House?
No.
And
The details of that one was that we were away, so we would have been over the phone call. She would have that would have been given to her.
But when she got back, did anyone ever show her that email? Anyone who had received it?
I don't know that.
Why not?
Well, I don't know why they would have. That, when we looked at when she looked into this issue, there was a number of calls that were made. There was no basis or foundation for that, and that was the end of it.
Who did she call?
She would have called Mr. McKay, his CA, and then there would have been a couple of people in the executive.
So
she called not from her. That would have been from other people within the party.
So as far as you're aware, she only called Mr. McKay and his CA?
And then we would have had information from the executive.
And the CA was who? Because I've heard different titles for different people in there. Was it the woman who was named in that email?
I believe so, yeah.
Right, so is it appropriate, is it adequate to contact only the people who are sort of implicated in these allegations?
Well, the reality is there was no foundation there, so we asked the issue. There was no, you got to go back and look at, there was no history of alcohol abuse at all that we knew anything of. So these allegations that were happening, they were 6 months behind. It was something that happened 6 months before. There was no evidence that any of it was there. When you ask, the person says, absolutely no. That's not true. Then you go and ask the person who's part of that and say, absolutely not. That's what this was about.
Was she aware of the identity of the person who makes the allegations in the email and had passed it along to people affiliated with the party?
I'm not sure what you mean. You mean
the author of the email? Was she aware of the person who was making the allegations?
I don't know.
Do you wish she had told you, looking back now?
Listen, I have all the faith in my chief of staff when issues come to my office to determine which I need to deal with and which ones that I don't need to deal with. And I continue to have all the confidence in her, and I support the judgment she made on this one.
Moving forward, is this the kind of thing you...
Absolutely. Our team has all the confidence in her. We just delivered our 5th balanced budget. We made significant investments in Nova Scotians, and particularly vulnerable Nova Scotians, and it was her leadership with our team that helped us craft that.
Moving forward, is this something you'd like to know about? You know, when there are these issues with members of your caucus, moving forward, is this the kind of thing you would like to be told about?
Listen, when it gets to the chief of staff will make the determination whether issues that are brought to her get to me, and I have all the confidence in her being doing that.
What was the caucus meeting at 11:30 this morning about?
The House. We meet every day.
Today was no different.
No.
When Mr. McKay was arrested 5 months after this letter was received and subsequently pled guilty to it and put out a statement saying he was taking responsibility, shouldn't your chief of staff have revisited this issue and then dug deeper into the allegations?
Well, she asked Mr. McKay, was there anything to that moment in time? He said absolutely not. The same situation. I can tell you though, like all of us, my family's no different. I've been impacted by this disease. At the time when someone is actually have hit the position where they're looking for help, that's what you do. You go provide them help. And that's exactly what was provided here. Mr. McKay went into treatment, accepted the responsibility for his decision to drive while impaired on that particular day. And we provided him with that support, and that was the focus in October, November.
Are you concerned though that you, or well not you, but your staff missed an opportunity to get him that support sooner, which would have prevented that incident that ended up taking him to court?
So there was no evidence at all that there was any merit to this case. What should have happened is the person who actually penned the letter should have gone to police on that day. They were the ones, if you follow that letter, making accusations about someone being on the road impaired. It's incumbent on all of us that if we see someone who's driving impaired, that we make that call.
But should Ms. Graham have gone to the person who wrote that letter? Was it enough to only go to Mr. McKay and his CA, given that they were the ones the allegations were being made of?
The issue around the member was, or the person who wrote that letter, that's up to them to make that decision. The advice to them is it is for people who walk into my constituency have other issues that they are a victim of or have an issue with that needs to go before the court or provide support. You say to them, you have to go do that. It's up to you.
But if someone brought the allegation to you, wouldn't you want to speak to the person who's making the allegation, not just the people about whom the allegation exists?
People had spoken to him. This is before the court. This is issue that I think it's an important question that you're raising. I think you're hitting an important piece. But I am not in a position to be in a place where I am going to be talking about other people other than the very people that we had made contact with. We were confident enough. The Chief of Staff was confident enough that there were no merits to this. The party, asked Mr. McKay, United, as well as the CA that was there. There was no evidence to suggest that what was in that email had merit, and we moved on.
To draw that conclusion, should she not have reached out to the person who wrote it, though? He was a Liberal official.
No, I don't believe so. I think she reached out to the people that she did, and our association that would have been involved, but no.
Was that a good call in light of the fact that he's now charged with those offenses?
Based on the information of the day, yes, it was. I can tell you, knowing what I know today, would have done the same thing. I have no evidence that, first of all, that email is related to what's happened in the court system today. I have no evidence that anything in that email is actually directly true. That's the important part of this. Where is the evidence that suggests that we should have done anything different?
If she had spoken to the person who wrote the letter, might she not have found out if there was evidence?
Well, it was 6 months later. What the issue was, the 6 months later, and the message back was, if you have it, go to the police.
Did she give that message to that person?
She gave it to our team that is there when they called. We were in Europe at the time, but if you have evidence, go to the police. It's been 6 months. Hence, this was 6 months after the actual alleged incident that is in this email that, by the way, has no evidence been presented to any of you.
And did those local people then take that message to the letter's author that if you have evidence that Mr. McKay committed a crime, go to the police?
I think everyone had said, made that message clear, but I haven't spoken to them, so you're clear to your answer. I don't know the answer to that.
Premier,
Okay, guys, one more. Let's go.
Premier, if the email, you say it's not credible, is it because of the timing of it when it came, or why do you deem that it's not a credible source of evidence?
Because there's all kinds of accusations in there with nothing to confirm it. It doesn't say anything's there. There's no evidence to say what they've alleged. There's no explanation why they didn't call police. All of those things that are associated with that, and that's why we've said the issue was not didn't have the evidence credibility. As I said to you a few days ago, I could say all kinds of things about you and put them down, but with no evidence, what do I do with it? Again, that's the issue. So the author of that email is the one who should go to police.
Premier, given what you just said,